What's up, everybody? This is Neil Kongstrong, and I'm here with a little chart analysis for you. It's going to be a short one because there's not a ton of requests. So this is Ethereum, and I mentioned in previous videos that our first red flag was breaking this daily uptrend line. Second red flag was breaking this low of 4150, or actually, I guess that's what 4,300-ish. Then I was talking about how the next level to watch was this 4150 level. And then I said that the weekly uptrend line was the next thing to watch. And for those of you that think that TA doesn't actually work, this is a great example of a trend line where the price actually dips down, wicks down, and just bounces basically right off the trend line on the weekly time frame. So that's a good sign for the bulls. We still set a higher low on the weekly and either go higher or go sideways. If the bears want to get traction, they will have to break this uptrend line on the weekly. But yes, this is a good sign for the bulls that the bears tried to test this uptrend line, and the bears tried to test the uptrend line, and the bulls started buying. So that gives me more faith in the bulls here for Ethereum. It still does look a little toppy, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to just keep going higher, but it gives me more faith that we're not just going to dump straight down. It's the bears are going to have to work at it a little bit, and then from here, this 38.89 level is important. And on the weekly time frame, sorry, my computer's being slow. The 2650 level is a really big one if we get there. I mean, that's a ways away, but that would be a really big one in addition to the weekly uptrend. So keep an eye on those. For Bitcoin, we also have a daily and weekly uptrend. So on the daily, you can see that it's a little bit different than the Ethereum one, but we'd get this low and then this really strong price action that slowly peters out, and then we bounce off that line again, go higher, kind of peters out, and now that seems to be happening again because we got this basically 67,000 level, pulled back, traded sideways for a second, and then broke that level for the new all-time high. And actually, this also coincides pretty closely with the 69,000 psychological resistance. Psychological resistances and supports are just numbers that are like nice round numbers or numbers that have some kind of significance. And people tend to buy and sell at those levels. I know for a fact that at least on some platforms there was a giant sell wall at 69K for Bitcoin, which is not surprising at all given the cryptoverse. But yeah, so now looks like we're in a daily downtrend here, or at least we have broken this recent low. And I'm expecting that most likely we're going to set a lower high and go down and probably test this uptrend line. And it's possible we could go sideways, but I think eventually we're going to come down and test this. That seems like the most likely scenario to me. And if we look at it on the weekly, yeah, it's not much different. You can kind of see that we had this like giant run up and then up some consolidation, and then we got a bull run again, but this one just barely broke the previous highs when you look at it on the weekly anyway. So that to me is showing that all this stuff is looking a little toppy. And if we look at it on the monthly, then I'm imagining, yeah, look, it starts to kind of look like a double top. So we'll see what happens. It could be like a head and shoulders or a double top. I think those kinds of scenarios are likely right now because the market has just been running and running. And when you see these highs where we break the high but just don't really stay above it and just don't break it convincingly, that shows that the momentum is really slowing down. A friend of mine wanted me to look at this this Ethereum BTC chart. And on this one, we're overall, I think, getting kind of a tightening range. In terms of the daily, we did have a daily downtrend, and then we broke that, and we've now gotten a daily uptrend. Though, once again, we're kind of, we set this higher low, and then a lower high, and a lower low, and then we kind of broke the previous high. So, this is kind of like a big leg up, and then a couple small legs down, and now it looks like maybe we'll get another leg up to the top of this trend line. But I think really the way to look at this particular ticker is to just look at the tightening range, the highs that are getting lower, the lows that are getting higher. And as this tightens, we'll be looking for a breakout at some point. So keep an eye on that. I was going to do Solana ETH, but every chart I looked at was kind of different, and I'm not sure which one to use. So I'm going to hold off on that. So the last one that my friends asked me about on a different server, this wasn't on the Scholar server, but they wanted to look at the immutable X token. So yeah, this one, the big story right now is that we had this, I guess, probably like you could either call it an EQ or maybe you could call it a falling wedge, but it's essentially a like action where the price range is getting tighter and tighter, and then we did finally get the breakout here, and you can see, I mean, this is pretty common in these when the tightening range breaks, and just in general in breakout patterns you often get like a really big move once you convincingly break that range. So we got a really big move up, and then we got a lot of selling, but buyers came right back in and kept the price up. So I think this bull move is probably petering out a little bit, but and that it's due for some consolidation. The bulls seem pretty strong here, so it's I don't know that we'll actually get all the way back down to this trend line. We might either trade sideways or go higher. We'll have to see, but it certainly seems like it's going to take a little bit of more slowing of the momentum before we get like a big move down. And oftentimes these trend lines will, this downtrend line could become a trend line that the price bounces off of instead of rejecting from. So that's something to keep an eye on. Overall, yeah, this is pretty bullish though. We got the bull break, we got the bulls buying on this giant candle. And if we look at it on the daily, yeah, similar story. Weekly is probably not going to look like much. Yeah, it doesn't really look like much. So yeah, this is pretty bullish, but slowing momentum because we got the big candle, smaller candles, bunch of selling, bulls coming in to buy. That is very bullish, this candle. But even though it is very bullish, I don't necessarily think we're gonna like keep just rocking higher. I think we will get some consolidation first if we are gonna go higher. So yeah, that was a short little overview. But I wanted to just kind of go over some of the big names like Ethereum and Bitcoin because there's been some notable price action happening this week. But yeah, if you've got any requests, let me know. I'm thinking about doing a live streamed analysis later this or next week. I will try to let you know in the Scholars Discord when that will be. It'll be just like this kind of video, except that I will also probably be responding to chat a little bit. All right. Take care. Have a good morning. Have a good night. Whatever. See you later.